Hey everyone, today we're going to build a verbal toolkit, one filled with essential English phrasal verbs that will help you talk about, well, one of the most important topics out there, climate change. So let's jump right in.
I mean, think about it, right? To have a really meaningful conversation about something this big, you've got to have the right words. And phrasal verbs, they're a huge part of how native speakers talk about complex stuff naturally. So, let's learn some of the most important ones.
All right, so first up, let's look at some phrasal verbs that really help us describe what's happening. These are the words that let us talk about the serious challenges our environment is up against.
So, our first phrasal verb is heat up. It's pretty straightforward. It just means to increase in temperature. This one is absolutely fundamental for talking about global warming.
What's cool is you can use heat up in a bunch of different ways. When you're talking about climate, you might say the planet is heating up due to CO2, but in your day-to-day life, you'd say, if you put food in the microwave, it heats up. See? Same verb, totally different situations.
Okay, next on our list is dry up. This means to lose all of its liquid and become completely dry. I want you to picture a total disappearance of water or moisture.
Let's put this into perspective. We could talk about something that happened a long, long time ago. This valley used to be a lake, but it dried up centuries ago. Or something much more familiar. The juice you spilled on the floor has finally dried up. It's super versatile, right?
Now, die out is a really crucial one. It describes a slow, gradual process where something, like a whole species of animal, just slowly disappears, forever. In other words, it becomes extinct.
The big idea with die out is that it's a gradual thing. For instance, many species will die out if we don't protect their habitats. But we can also use it for cultural things, like some traditional skills are dying out in modern society. In both cases, something is just fading away over time.
But what happens when it's not slow? What if it's sudden and destructive? Well, that's where wipeout comes in. This implies a sudden, complete elimination of something. It's way more forceful than die out. So let's look at the difference here. In an environmental context, you could say pollution and deforestation have wiped out entire ecosystems. And think about a natural disaster. The hurricane wiped out the entire neighborhood. Both are talking about a sudden, total elimination.
Okay, so we've got words to talk about the problems themselves. Now let's dig into a phrasal verb that helps us connect the dots to talk about cause and effect.
A really key one here is rely on. It just means to depend on something. For example, humans rely on fossil fuels to heat our homes. You might also say, when I broke my ankle, I relied on my family to help me. It's all about dependence.
All right, talking about problems and causes is one thing, but what about solutions? Let's switch gears and look at some phrasal verbs that are all about taking action and making a positive change. First up for our action verbs, cut down on. This one simply means to reduce the amount of something you use or do.
A huge part of the solution to climate change is to cut down on our use of fossil fuels. And you probably use this in your own life, right? Like, I'm going to start cutting down on sugar to improve my health. Both are about reduction. Sometimes just reducing isn't enough. You have to get proactive. That's where fight for comes in. It means to try really, really hard to achieve something good. You can feel the effort and passion in this one. You can see this in action all over the place. The community is fighting for cleaner air and water. And in a different context, the workers are fighting for higher wages and better conditions. In both cases, people are actively working to make things better.
So how do you actually fight for something? Well, a lot of the time you get involved. And the phrasal verb for that is take part in. It means you're participating, not just standing on the sidelines.
The whole point here is active involvement. For example, I took part in a beach cleanup event, or every year we take part in a fundraising challenge. In both situations, you are an active participant.
So, let's tie these action verbs together into a simple game plan. Step 1, we can cut down on the things that are harmful. Step 2, we can fight for the changes we want to see. And step 3, we can take part in projects that make a real difference.
Okay, so you've got all this new vocabulary, which is awesome. Let's do a quick grammar power-up so you can use it with total confidence. Okay, here's the secret. It's all about knowing if a phrasal verb is separable or inseparable. And there's a really easy trick to figure it out. Just look at how we define them. If something comes in the middle, like wipe something out, it's separable. If something comes at the end, like rely on something, it's inseparable. It's a super simple trick to remember.
And listen up, because this is probably the most important grammar rule you'll learn for these. When you're using a separable verb, like wipe out, with pronoun, like it or them, the pronoun has to go in the middle. So you can say wipe the ecosystem out, but you must say wipe it out. You can't say wipe out it. Getting that right is a real game changer for sounding natural.
So there you go. You've got a whole new toolkit of powerful phrasal verbs to talk about the problem, understand the cause, and even inspire some action. You have the language now. So the only question left is, what conversation are you going to start?